Praise be Jesus Christ. St. John tells us in the Gospel today that this is the third time that our Lord appeared to them. And this is the third time that our Lord appears to the disciples as a group. The first time we read in yesterday's Gospel when they were locked in the room together and Thomas had been absent that time. That was the day of the resurrection. Then some days later, our Lord appeared again to the apostles, disciples, with Thomas present. And then finally, when the Paschal octave was over, the disciples headed back to Galilee, and at this point they were fishing at the Sea of Tiberias, where our Lord then makes his third appearance to them as a group. And so we see that Peter decides to go fishing during the night, and the others follow him. And they hadn't caught anything all night, and then our Lord appears as morning is breaking and commands that they cast their net off to the right side. And then they make the great catch. And then we see the two responses of Peter and John. And each of these responses reveals something about the character of these two apostles. John, who is the greater contemplative, more sublime and penetrating in his thought, he's the one to recognize that it is the Lord. He recognizes the Lord first. But St. Peter, being more ardent, more vehement, and more prompt to action, he's the one to throw himself out of the boat, abandon the boat, the catch, and his companions to arrive directly at the Lord, to arrive there first. And we see this as a good example of an application of the famous axiom that grace does not destroy nature, but builds upon it. That means that each and every one of us, with our own particular character, personality, abilities, and also weaknesses, that grace does not destroy any of this. You see this often. If somebody goes through a conversion experience, in many ways they're much the same person. Hopefully without their sins afterwards. But their character, their personality, their abilities, their tendencies, all remain the same because grace does not destroy the nature that we have, but builds upon it, is meant to perfect it and use it for the greatest glory of God. The fathers and doctors of the Church have seen in this scene a mystical meaning. They see the boat as the church, with Peter at the helm. Remember, Peter was the first one to say, "I'm going fishing," and the others followed him. Peter's the first one to arrive at our Lord, and the others follow and arrive after. They see in the great catch, the great number of fish, the number of the elect who will be saved. They see that there is one net that is used, which refers to the unity of our faith. That we all believe the same truths of the faith. And how the gospel mentions that the net was not torn, notwithstanding the great catch, that the net was not torn, referring to the integrity of the faith, that all of the truths of our Christian faith are all linked together, all united one with the other. This is also called the analogy of faith. And that we see in this that by denying one of the truths creates a hole in the net, heresy, through which fish will escape and be lost. We also see in this scene that the great catch is made by obedience to our Lord's words. The apostles, with all their fatigue throughout the night, they caught nothing. And then by obeying our Lord's command, throw off to the right side and you will make a catch. Then they make a great and numerous, plentiful catch. I think oftentimes the clergy today, we need to follow this example of the apostles in obedience to our Lord's command, because oftentimes you'll see that the clergy are tempted to water down or mitigate the church's teachings, particularly the hard moral teachings, so as not to offend, so as not to turn people away. And in the end, we really don't help anybody. For example, when summertime comes around and women start to dress less modestly, or really immodestly, a lot of pastors will say, well, don't say anything, because then they won't come into the church anymore. And we're really not helping anybody by doing that sort of thing. We need to remember our Lord's command to go and teach all nations all that I have commanded you, in season and out of season. And if we do that, if we're faithful to our Lord's words, we are guaranteed as well to have a big and plentiful catch. Praise be Jesus Christ.